Hello, welcome to Soundtrack Creations Artist Spotlight, and today we have with us the very talented Freddie Oke. Hi,
Hey.
Freddie. Pleasure
Hi,
to see you today. How are you?
I'm very well, Sefi. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for your beautiful song, Us. It was a pleasure, real pleasure mixing this. Tell us a bit about the song, a bit about the process.
It's an interesting song actually because the day I was out to record other material, I just suddenly found myself in front of my breakfast table, and my guitar was just sat there, and I just picked it up, and I strummed a chord, and within an instant, I just felt there was something very special, and I pretty much sort of started to do what I normally do in my process is grab my voice note, record the idea, and then I jumped in my car, and as I was driving down to the studio, I started to sing out the chorus. The chorus line just came to me in an instant, and it was "What about
True
us?"
inspiration. True
Yeah,
inspiration.
pure inspiration, absolutely. And then in the studio that day, literally just down tools, the project that I was working on for another song, completely just put that to a side, and I felt that this was absolutely important to record the idea of this frame of a song. And I had the kind of arrangement of the tune, so I played all the part in with my acoustic, and then pretty much that same day, 20 minutes, I wrote the song word for word. And the next day I put down the guide vocal, which is pretty much the vocal that is on the track. I didn't do much to go back to it. I pretty much put down the feeling as it came out. And that was the birth of What About Us? But then obviously I then started to refine the song and thought about the words. And then I thought, well, the single plural us was much more relevant. And there it stayed.
Fantastic. There are a lot of really talented musicians, live musicians, one should kind of emphasize, lots of beautiful live musicians on this. Tell us a bit about the lineup and, who played
Yeah.
what.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting lineup because I only got back to music 4 years ago. I'd been off music doing other things. I had a business, or still have a business in the interior world, and basically put my creativity down of music for best part of 16, 17 years, which is a long time to be out, right?
Yes.
A long time. And the last time I was playing with musicians was when I was living in Australia, in Melbourne, and that's where my core rhythm section came from. And those are the guys that are playing on the rhythm section today. It's an interesting mix because I've got the three rhythm players, as I'd say, Ben Edgar on guitar and Lucas Taranto on bass and Danny Ferrugia on drums. All amazing musicians. And Lucas is probably most famous for being a bass player for somebody I used to know, which is Gautier's song. And all those guys have played with everybody. I mean, they are just phenomenal musicians. And the other rhythm section, they came from the US and musicians that I hadn't worked with before. But I had, if you like, recruited the team and found the right sensitivities in those players. And one guy was Daniel Organ, who plays the organ, and he's phenomenal. There's another Daniel on the piano keys. There's Chris Travis on trombone. There was Stephanie, the vocalist as well on the BVs. She was from Canada. I mean, there's a real global mix of artists that are on this track, And actually, it with a song like Us, it kind of made sense that it's like a song that bringing everyone together, and to bring everyone from different corners of the planet, working in the way that we can these days. It was amazing.
Absolutely. It's, the world has become a much smaller place. In a way that's really conducive to collective working together, and it's you get to work with people that you simply, it would be cost prohibitive to work with those rhythm section guys from Australia, to fly them over or to fly over there, and now you can. So what are the plans for releasing Us?
Yeah, so because I've got this international setup, it's obviously difficult to kind of assemble those people. Like you said, it's a very costly exercise. So the initial idea is to release the song in late July, 25, and I'll be using the sort of social media channels to drum up the awareness. And I know it's slightly different to what it was, 20 years ago, because obviously there wasn't none of that social media, but now there is. The only thing is, I think that with the DSPs, you have to, you're a little bit like a little fish in the ocean. So you have to make, need to make a noise within the noise, So
Absolutely.
hopefully, the song with the video kind of content that I'm putting together will, enable momentum, because no one's in control of the song. The song is very much on its own, in a way that once you release it, then the public decide. They're the ones
Very
that
true.
are,
Very
who make
true.
it.
But we can maybe help the public decide. I mean, have I told you about Sphere Tracks? Have we talked about Sphere Tracks before?
We haven't, no. But I think there is something that you may have mentioned, that it's like a music licensing.
Yes. So Sphere Tracks is a sister company to Soundtrack Creation, and the idea is to help musicians get their songs placed in film, TV, advertising, games, immersive media in a way that is sustainable for musicians, in a way that remunerates musicians. So the model is that the musicians get the majority of the lion's share of the revenue, as opposed to what's happening in many other places in the industry.
Yeah.
We release the songs to on our platform, but also release it to all the DSPs, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Tidal, in order to increase discoverability. So I think it's a viable proposition, because I think Us is a very syncable song. I could definitely see that in a, first thing that comes in mind is a coming of age movie about a family, and it's a song about people, right? It's a song about people coming together and how they feel in different circumstances. And I think that's quite a wide spectrum of possible uses, possible syncs.
Yes.
And I think that, especially for a musician, singer-songwriter, creator like yourself, where you're not a band that's out there on the road gigging every day, sync is one of the options where musicians can still make money. And on Sphere Tracks, we've just placed music in a series for Apple TV called Prime Target. We've placed music in a Harry Potter and the Cursed Child cinema commercial, in an animated series, etc. So it's happening.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's worth looking into.
Yeah, look, I think, for me, when I was making music many years ago, Sefi, I was actually making music for TV and radio. I was doing jingles back then in Australia.
Okay. So that can be a lucrative part of the industry.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's become more crowded since 16, 17 years ago, because everybody else and his dog have figured out that that's where the money is. But there's always room for good singer-songwriters.
Well, you know what? Sorry to interrupt, but I approach this. I approach my songs in two ways. I think about the sonic value in the terms of, if this was broken down, would this still be able to stand up as a piece of music? That's why the idea of working with real musicians, for me, is much more authentic, and it allows a little bit more freedom in a way.
Absolutely, absolutely, and it sounds great. So, so I'm going to toggle between the before and after of the song, between the rough mix and the mix, and start with the rough mix.
Who believe the gift of love has been there all along? What about us? What about everything? Would you do anything? Help me, we'll laugh and sing. What about us? What is inside your life? Get it to make you right. Everything feels alright.
Really great song.
It's alive, isn't it?
Great song. It is. It is. And
thank you, man. It's great to know that it's a really good song, because, you know, when people like yourself, Sefi, that hears lots of music every day and work on great songs every day, it's, you know, how do you define a great song? Like, what is it that makes a great song?
ooh, that's a very good question. I think it's one that stays with you. I think, you know, every great work of art, or, you know, every work of art that engages you in a way that it's not throwaway. It's not, you know, you hear it once and it goes away. You know, a good book, a good film, a good piece of visual art. It stays with you. You've heard the song, and it stays with you. And this song, I think works on many levels, because it's got you know, a deep kind of lyrical content, coupled with an arrangement and a vibe that is very catchy. The chorus is super catchy. You know, you end up, after you listen to it once, you end up kind of, you know, bobbing to it and walking away with the hook, with the chorus. But it's also quite deep in you know, in the lyrics and the questions that it asks.
Yes.
So what are your, how do you see the future in terms of more music?
I see this still very much the beginning of my journey, an exciting one, actually. I feel that, you know, because I've got other songs that I've composed, and I haven't shown them yet to the world, if you know what I mean. So I feel like I've been able to rediscover my talent and my purpose. You know, it's nice to be able to feel that I have something relevant still to offer that is current. You know,
I think not only is this current, I think this is timeless, because it, you know, it has it could have been, in terms of the writing, it could have been written, you know, in the late 60s, in the early 70s, but it's a type of writing that works and transcends kind of, you know, those decades, and works today 50 years later. So it is really timeless in the writing, and I think I really you know, I'm happy together with you that you've rediscovered this place, because there's so much joy in creating music, and you know, well, I think you really need to be a musician or an artist in another discipline to understand just how much joy we're talking about here. But it is bounds of joy that just kind of give meaning to those moments, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting, actually. There's a tinge of happiness and sadness with this song, because the happiness is the process, and then the sadness comes when the process has to end, because it's almost like the bringing all these great musicians together, and then finalizing the shape and the direction, and then handing it over to yourself, and then working with you to, you know, get the final details detailed. and then realizing that this coming to an end. It's an interesting process.
Well, absolutely, but I think that this process coming to an end can only be the beginning of the next one. You know, you've got to finish this one in order to make creative space to start the next one.
Very true.
So I think, you know, the end of one thing is the beginning of another. Immediately start the next one. Immediately start and fill that void.
Absolutely.
That's one of the reasons I love deadlines, by the way, because it makes you finish something.
Yes.
And move on to the next thing. Otherwise, we could tweak stuff till the cows come home.
Yeah. Absolutely right. Yeah. No, look, I'm very excited about being a part of this industry, you know, and seeing where I can grow as a writer, you know, because I don't feel like writing songs for the sort of popular market isn't where I want to be. I mean, it's not the only place I want to be in. So I've always had aspirations for the musicals and the theatre and film. So for me, I think in this bigger way, and I just see myself growing, you know, and that only for me will grow around the circle that I have around me. So yes, I'm a writer, and of course my feelings I can put them down, but also I'm connected as well with all the other musicians, and they are equally important to my sound, you know. Which
absolutely, and you've created something very, very beautiful. So it's been a real pleasure mixing this track. Us,
Sefi.
Freddie Oke, coming soon to a streamer near you guys, so check it out.
Yeah.
And
FreddieOke.com as well.
FreddieOke.com.
Yeah.
Much luck, best of luck with this as a single, and continue on with your journey.
Thank you so much, Sefi. Thank you.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.